we want to be able to give you just a brief update of what occurred today. Just start off by telling you we got the call for service at 2500 Northwest 12th, the Casey's here at 8:26 p.m. The information that we were provided on the call for service is that a male had entered the store and put a firearm on the counter. There were 3 employees at the store. To my knowledge, no customers at the time that he made entry into the store. One of those individuals was able to make contact with the police department, and we had officers responding. When our officers arrived on scene and were assessing, ultimately during that initial contact, the male inside, fired around at our officer. Thankfully, he was not injured. Our officer did return fire. At that point, we had additional officers coming on scene. One of the employees was able to remove themselves safely from the store. The other 2 that were inside were able to barricade themselves in a back room. So at that point, we were just attempting contact with the male inside of the store. Ultimately, after a prolonged period of time, he fires additional rounds, and we return fire a second time. He was injured during our return into fire. He was transported to the hospital after we were able to safely take him into custody with a response from our SWAT team. To my knowledge, it is a minor injury, certainly not considered life-threatening. Again, we are incredibly thankful for our officers and the response, that we were able to get on scene, that no one in the store or any other community members were injured. And of course, incredibly thankful that none of our officers or our partners with the Nebraska State Patrol. And additionally, we are aware that Lancaster County Sheriff's Office also had deputies on scene. Again, none were injured.
Obviously, it's a good reminder of the danger that our troopers and officers face on any given evening. It's a team effort. I'm glad I'd echo the chief's comments that not only our officers and troopers are okay, but the public's safe. And even in this case, the suspect sounds like he's going to be okay. That's a good outcome for public safety. It's a good day for Lincoln. I can assure you it's going to be an impartial and thorough investigation. It's a joint effort. It'll be a team effort by all the departments that are represented here. And I'm thankful for the cooperation of the chief in Lancaster County as well, so thank you.
I'll do my best to answer questions that you have, understanding that this is still preliminary in our investigation as we continue interviews with the employees and our officers who are on scene.
Do we have a name of the suspect?
I do have his name. I'm not going to release it at this point in time. I will tell you that he is 45 years of age.
Did he say anything after he had walked in that alarmed anybody?
Other than putting his firearm down on the counter, I do know that there was statements. I don't know the specific details of what was said at this point, so I don't want to speculate. Certainly rose to a level of concern that the employees inside contacted our emergency communications center. We applaud them for being able to do that safely.
Where was he shot?
It's my understanding it was in the upper chest area.
Non-life-threatening injuries.
That's correct.
Law enforcement have any previous knowledge or contact?
It is my understanding that we have had previous interactions with him. I just don't have any of that information available this evening.
Is he of Lincoln?
He is of Lincoln, yes.
So was this a robbery attempt, or what was why did you put the gun on the guy?
I just don't have that information. I am going to tell you that I don't think it was a robbery attempt, but the full details of it I just don't have for you at this point in time.
Troopers were with LPD when you guys went inside before LFR went in there.
So we had an investigator that was working a plainclothes assignment tonight that responded to the 911 call with other units. That's how he ended up on the scene.
So it's just primarily LPD who went inside to clear the gas station.
So due to the fact that we understood that we had employees barricaded in a back room and wanting to make sure that we could monitor their safety and be able to remove them from the scene as quickly and safely as we could, we did call our SWAT team, and it was a response from the SWAT team that ended up taking him into custody. Again, without any further incident, and we were able to safely take the other employees who were in the back out safely.
What happens with the officers involved?
They will continue the investigation. As stated by Captain Scott, it'll be a thorough joint investigation from all of our agencies, and they will be placed on administrative leave during that process.
How many officers? Is it 2?
We have 2 officers from the Lincoln Police Department and 1 from the Nebraska State Patrol.
What do you know from the Lincoln Police Department how long that officer went on? Is it male or female?
2 males, and I don't have that information. I probably, because I know them, could speculate, but I want to have that accurate for you, so I will wait and release that at a later time.
How long will you guys remain on scene?
We have crime scene techs on scene, and that will be, again, a very thorough investigation, and it will be several hours. I do think the activity will start minimizing because everyone has been removed from the scene, all of our officers that were involved and the witnesses employees. So just our staff now collecting all of the evidence.
What kind of weapon did the suspect have?
I don't have that information for you right now.
And was there anything else found at the scene that the suspect brought with him?
I don't have that information right now, not to my knowledge. But certainly, as our crime scene text works, that this information can evolve. It's all great questions, and I apologize. I just don't have any of that information at this time.
And do you know if he had caused any other disturbances in the area prior to him coming into the cases?
I don't, not to my knowledge. Certainly, it's been a busy night across the city. Specific to here or any other calls for service that he may have been involved in, I have not been able to research that.
With the shootings that happened, were there any chances of like negotiations at all with 2 employees in the back? Was that something that ran through the mind of the officers on scene?
When we fired rounds, it was in response to him firing rounds. Certainly, we were hoping to be able to negotiate with him, which is why we brought in our SWAT team to help lead that portion of the contact and furthering communication with him. We, again, were able to safely take him into custody with our team there. And again, just want to reiterate that our actions were based on his actions and needing to take response to provide safety for our officers and concern for what additional could happen with his actions if we didn't take the steps that we did.
And do you know how many shots total were fired by the suspect? How many total were fired by officers?
I don't have that information for you. That will be a part of the investigation.
Do you know how many officers total responded? How many patrol vehicles you guys had out here?
That's a great question. Certainly we had several officers responding to the scene when we have something of this magnitude. I just don't have that count for you.
Will you name the officers involved in the shooting?
Eventually we will, as per what we have in the past. I'm sorry? I haven't reviewed any of it myself, and so certainly I want to be able to review that footage and make an assessment from there of what we feel comfortable with sharing.
And again, I mean, without you doing anything, how much restraint did your officers, you believe they used?
I recognize that the direction of the question, I truly appreciate it. It just would be a bad position for me to make assumptions for them when I wasn't there, and I certainly haven't had an opportunity to talk to them or let the investigation play out. Any other questions? Okay.
Did you have contact with any of the employees for part of the time or the whole time?
I don't know what communications they had. Again, the first shot that was fired was very quickly upon arrival of our initial officer at the scene.